This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences, and the individual results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health. Dr. Joel Wallach. This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences, and the individual results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health. Dr. Joel Wallach.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Daily with Doc. My name is Becca Dukes, and as Director of Student Services for the Institute of Holistic Health and assistant to Dr. Joel Wallach, and just somebody that loves to help people. I've been a community herbalist and really looking at what is the underlying cause, what is causing all of the different discomforts in human bodies throughout our communities. And my main goal was myself. Well, on this program, we are empowering individuals to be able to look at their own lives, their own lifestyles, their own diets, things around them that can be more than likely creating those poor health symptoms within you. And not only looking at what may be creating them, but also providing solutions. That's my favorite part. Well, this program is not meant to take the place of your primary care physician, nor is it meant to treat, diagnose, or cure any dis-ease. But folks, when you give the body what it needs, the body itself can do some amazing, amazing things. On Daily with Doc, we are honored to be able to host different doctors or people in the medical communities that take a different look and different approach to mainstream medical society, system, culture, at helping the body do what it was really designed to do rather than masking symptoms. So if you were invited by somebody specific, please make sure that you get back with them. Thank them for inviting you to watch this show. And if you have any questions, they are your first point of contact, as we are a resource for an amazing community of individuals who are certified holistic health coaches, health advocates, individuals like myself that just really want to see people thrive instead of just survive. Well, today is Monday, And on Mondays, we are excited to be able to host Dr. Cara Ringland. Now, Dr. Cara is our iridologist, and she's also a naturopathic doctor. She is certified and also teaches Thai massage and just those things that are considered quote unquote alternative modalities to health, which you look at it, they're actually some of the original modalities to health that we need to be going back to. So today we're going to be talking about the digestive system and epigenetics and taking a look at how they link and really looking at food and food preparation. And that we're going to be taking a deeper look into what my eyes are saying about myself as well. So sit back, relax, take notes, and don't forget, no matter where you're watching us, let us know that you're there. Send us a like, send us some love, send us a comment. Let us know where you are within this big, beautiful, wonderful blue, green, brown earth. Because I know that our reach is going beyond just the Northern Hemisphere or North America. So ready to take a look? And folks, you're not watching this program just by chance. There's a reason for you to be plugging in with us today. So as you're listening and thinking about individuals, make sure that you share this program with them as well. So I am excited to bring to the screen with me, as I mentioned, Dr. Cara Ringland. She's an iridologist. She's a naturopathic physician. She teaches and also is very experienced in Thai massage and so many other things. She has studied under some individuals that are very, very prominent in the community of naturopathic medicines and iridology. And I'm just so excited that she is agreeing to be part of our family as well in bringing in that nutritional piece to help people reach their optimal best. Dr. Cara, welcome to Daily with Doc.
Thank you so much for your warm welcome, Becca. I'm Cara Marie Ringland, and I am a practicing iridologist with experience for 24 years. I started my training in the year 2000 under Dr. Carol Geck at the Lifestyle Transformation Health and Research Clinic, where we studied extensively genetics and nutrition and how to reverse common ailments, as well as to work with severe and chronic conditions. And so I want to say thank you so much to Becca and to Coach Rod for inviting me here to join Dr. Wallach's team. I had the privilege of getting to meet Dr. Joel at the convention where we first met. And I also got his book, and he signed it to me, the epigenetics book. And so today we're going to take a little deep dive into what is epigenetics. Okay, how do we look at that? It's a word that's been thrown around a lot. We're kind of understanding it. It's kind of new perhaps to you, or maybe you have an idea of it, but not really sure what it actually means. So when we look at genetics, it's been said that genetics are the ammunition that's within the handgun of our health. It's the lifestyle that pulls the trigger. Okay, so when we look at, especially with iridology, which for those of you who may not be familiar with it, it's the study of the iris of the eye. So here's a little bit of an idea of our map. So it's much like a reflex map that you might see with the hands and the feet. So giving you that kind of thing. If you've ever had reflexology done, it's the concept of touching those nerve endings that are attached to different organs via the column of the spine. So in the same regard, the eyes are directly connected to the spinal column. They're actually the first thing that's developed in utero within the womb. It has all of our genetic information woven into the color, the fabric, the texture, and the patterns that are displayed within the very beauty of each individual iris. No two irises are the same, okay? However, if you do family studies, you can see that there are genetic predispositions, things that are passed down. And you can see up to 8 generations of information of your forefathers, so to speak, your genetic code that has been funneled into you as one being. So much like the family tree, we see that it's the same effect within the eyes. Now, the interesting thing about epigenetics is we're seeing how so many people are inheriting disease and conditions of chronic ailments, especially here in 2024. We are noticing that we have people that are, we have young children that are developing degenerative diseases that we didn't see before, except for in our elderly. Okay, and so right now, what we're really wanting to understand is why. Yes, we have pollution. Yes, we have chemicals, we have denatured foods, we have all of the electromagnetics. We have a lot of conditions that are working against us, even with healthy genetic code. Now, what we're also dealing with, however, is series of generations now that have been poorly fed, poorly cared for. It wasn't their fault. So let's offer gratitude and forgiveness for our forefathers, for they knew not what they were doing. They were given the food of their culture. They were given maybe they were in poverty, crisis, trauma, stress. All of that will inevitably affect the genetics, okay? A lot of our culture has experienced severe trauma throughout the last 200, 300, 400 years. So that is a factor, and we have to look at that as well. Now, most of all, however, and what we really want to zero in today on is how much our food industry has changed in the last 80 years, 80 to 100 years. My teacher, Dr. Cara Geck, who recently passed in the year 2022. I studied with her for 6,000 clinical hours of internship, wherein we kept research records. She also worked for Dr. Gary Young at the Young Life Research Clinic and worked with Dr. Gabriel Cousins and David Wolf. And within her studies, she continued to do the same research that Dr. Jensen, the father of modern iridology, and I'm sure a colleague of Dr. Wallach, I know Dr. Ellen Jensen has known Dr. Wallach for over 50 years. These are the greats when it comes to the names of naturopathic medicine here in the United States. Here on this territory, I find that because of the medical condition of the United States and the health and practices of the allopathic community, especially in the early 40s, 50s, and 60s, that were unregulated, we ended up with a lot of injuries that occurred that were either medical or nutritional. And that is really where the uprising of natural medicine came out of the 80s. Okay. It was exhausted with seeing its family members and even itself sick. And that's really what drove and drives most natural health providers, is having faced allopathic conditions that could either not be diagnosed or cured with traditional realm or practices within the medical community. I am one as well, okay? Dr. Cara Geck, she was born in 1940 and suffered a broken hip upon birth. She was then taken to Scripps Hospital at 8 months old and left there by her father to be a medical experiment, okay? She suffered 9 hip surgeries before the age of 12. And imagine this, 1940s medicine. This was metal. This was archaic practices, okay? The medicines were not regulated. The dosages were dangerous and created severe side effects. So in her quest to restore her wellness, she found Dr. Bernard Jensen in Escondido, California, and started studying under him in the late 80s and the early 90s, alongside with Dr. Ellen Jensen, who now is the dean of the International Iridology Practitioners Association worldwide. And we have been standardizing the languaging so that we can help clients and restore their wellness. So what we realize is what we're gifted with is simply, as this book, Dr. Wallach's book says, it simply means that we're given a code, or it's a script, essentially, for a play. Now, what actors play the script changes the whole entire production. And so when we realize that we are actually have choice, okay, and that's what I feel epigenetics is the root of it. We have choice. We are not a victim of our genetics. However, when we can understand them, it definitely helps us understand our housing. How do we function? And it's not blanket statements, okay? Yes, eat right for your blood type. Yes, stay hydrated. All of these things have good information there, but it's not tailored to the individual. And that's where I find iridology is so potent, okay? And that's why myself and Dr. Christine Maxwell wrote this book, Awaken and Become a Tree of Life. Always be cleansing. It's the ABCs to self-care. So when we are caring for our body by eliminating our metabolic wastes, just that alone from digestion, let alone if we start having contact with pollution, air, water, skin products, the things in our foods, we need to cleanse more. And I'm not talking your seasonal detox. I'm talking making sure you take the trash out every day. Get your bowel to move. Make sure your kidneys are properly functioning. Urine is filtered blood. You need enough water, good quality water, quantity of water, yes, but you also need electrolytes so that that water can be absorbed into your cells. And alkalizing is I call it, it's like putting the white on your canvas for the masterpiece of your wellness. You need to be alkaline in order to be able to uptake your nutrition and to eliminate properly. All right. If you've ever seen a swimming pool or even an aquarium for fish, let's just use that because it's living. The pH goes south, you're going to have death. Or you're going to have algae, you're going to have fungal overgrowth. That's what's happening within our human body. So as I just saw, a little prompt to remind, I am not here to diagnose, prescribe, or replace any form of medical care. I'm simply here as a health educator, okay? And I had a unique opportunity to be raised as a homeschooled kid in North Idaho by my mother, who was a master herbalist, and then started my internship with a naturopath at 21 years old for 3 years, and followed my path since with studying every kind of natural health I can. Why? Primarily for relief for myself, okay? I was a product of the 80s, all right? I was the little girl who was given ramen, mac and cheese, tortillas and cheese, canned soup. Okay, yes, my mother actually was really good at homesteading, and we made applesauce and things like that. But it was the 80s. It wasn't very cool to eat very natural, right? So we sought after what we were programmed to desire off of Saturday morning cartoons and commercials. And that's something I want to couple with what we're going to discuss today with epigenetics. So Dr. Carol Geck really brought to my attention a study called Pottinger's Cats, okay? It was performed in 1967 is when the original paper was released. And this cat study covered 10 years of research, wherein they took several litters of cats and they watched their reproduction, okay? They watched their health, and they fed them 2 different lines of nutrition. One was fed all raw foods. So it was given cat breast milk when it was born. It was allowed to nurse properly. It was given raw meat when it was starting to eat, okay? That cat in particular continued to have litters of cats, and they all were able to nurse easily. The mothers carried their kittens to full term. They had at least 5 kittens in each litter. They had 0 deformities. They weaned. They had strong bones, skeletal structure, musculature, everything. And they were able to reproduce relatively just like their mothers. And this is over 10 years. So we got to see a number of generations that were fed this particular diet. Now, you ended up with the other line of his cats. Now, these cats were taken from the original mother and given pasteurized milk in a bottle, okay? And then fed cooked and canned meats, all right? Now, what he noted is that within 4 generations, mind you, these cats were showing massive problems. Even within 1 generation, the mother cat was having a hard time carrying to full term. The number of the cats that were produced in the litter reduced significantly to 2, 1, maybe 3. When they were born, they started to show signs of deformity. Their skeletal structure wasn't as strong. They could break bones easily. Their muscles didn't quite develop. They started showing signs of deformities, extra fingers, extra things showing up. They also, the mother cat, the original cat that was started to give this diet during pregnancy, started to show signs of dental infection. Okay, so what's powerful about this study is that it really covers about 4 generations is what I really want to focus on. Because if you think about what's happened in our culture today, and this is what Dr. Carroll kept trying to get into my brain, in 1940 is when we were in World War II. And if you look, there's a bunch of videos out now on Netflix that goes into the study of the food industry, okay? And in 1942, the United States standardized the food systems through factories and started putting the women to work while the men were overseas, producing food and, of course, all the ammunitions and other such things. Well, what was the primary food they were producing? Frozen food, canned food, preserved foods. They were taking women out of the homes, out of the gardens, out of food preparation, and then they were given Stouffer's lasagnas to take home to their children after a long day of work. Then the television played a part of all of this too. And that's what I also want to bring into awareness. We have been programmed to consume foods that are of low quality. Why? Because companies like General Mills had an excess of foods like wheat-based foods. So then they even had to rebuild the food. They created the food pyramid to produce a reason to consume as many calories as were being produced by these large companies so that they could keep bankrolling. They even changed the standard of size for a traditional human so that people thought that they were small or too small and needed to bulk up. So then they were pushing pasteurized milk. They were pushing hybridized wheat and grains and your cooked meats and preserved meats, especially the nitrates, things that were shelf stable, jerky, all that kind of stuff is full of preservatives. Now, what's interesting about all of this is my friend in Japan, back about 20 years ago, he's a good friend of mine. He was raised there, and he said that the Western culture had become so popularized through TV, MTV, the culture of the US, pop culture has spread globally. And with that pop culture has come the food. We want Doritos now. Oh, it's not cool if we don't get to drink Starbucks 3 times a day, right? And you see that that was pushed especially to young people because they're the ones watching Saturday morning cartoons. And we wanted Fruity Pebbles. We don't want the granola mom made. That's boring, right? So then we started consuming these foods. Well, in Japan, and this was, mind you, in 2000 that I was speaking to my friend Yoshi. And he had expressed, it was big world news in Tokyo, that the children who were in their late teens and early 20s, and this is, mind you, 20 years ago, and they cremate there all of their dead because of their traditions. And this was where they discovered that the bodies, they actually were needing to increase the temperatures by almost 3 times what they had originally ever been having to use, because the preservatives were so high in the tissues that they were literally preserved from the inside out. McDonald's, Taco Bell, all of the pizzas. If you look at Round Table Pizza, or Little Caesars, one time after a party with the kids, I threw one into a compost. Okay. A year later, it was completely intact, had never decomposed. Okay. So these things we need to start really becoming aware of. We are being poisoned, and we're paying for it, and we're lining up for it. Okay. And then why? Because we've been programmed to desire it. And now you look at the young people of today, they get bullied if they don't have that cool thing, whether it's a phone or a food product. So we really want to come back to nature. As Jethro Kloss wrote, we want to return to Eden in a way. And that's why I feel this book that I've written kind of condenses and makes it a little more simple for people my generation and younger to understand the plethora of information out there. Make it so that we can digest it literally and figuratively. Because right now, it's all about what we put in our mouth, how we assimilate it and eliminate it. All right. Most people put it in the mouth and don't think about it, right? And we, from here down, we kind of disassociate. So what we want to bring into awareness is digestive health, nutrition. So looking at these cats from the patented study, all right, if they were eating raw, healthy food, they had 0 problems with fertility. Now, that's one big issue I'm seeing within the natural world. I have a lot of women reaching out who cannot get pregnant. These are women who've even been in an organic lifestyle, okay? But even our organics today are really poor standards. I used to work on a farm that was organic standard. We had the state come and inspect it. The references for what's allowed on organic property is very, very big. So you're allowed so many gallons of diesel fuel poured on the ground per square foot or yard or acre, okay? There's a lot of allowances for pollution that are not necessarily natural because they're trying to commercialize organics, okay? Any more organics is just a word. And genetically modified foods can be grown organically. All right. So we have to really read our labels. You need to know what's going on in there, because even at Whole Foods now, which is owned by Amazon, is now carrying bioengineered food ingredients in all of their food, a lot of their foods, not all, I won't say that. But if you look in the hot food department, if you look in different things, it will say contains bioengineered food ingredients. Well, what is modified food starch? There's one that's added into a lot of stuff. A lot of that is actually food that has been changed through genetics, okay, and bioengineering, okay? And we don't know what this is going to do for our health. We don't have enough studies. We don't have 10 years of Pottinger's cat studies on what's going to happen to the human race when we consume this for 4 and 6 generations. One thing we do have right now is if all of this started in the 1940s, okay, every 20 years, we have about a new generation, right? Especially in our lower income worlds. I was 20 when I had my first child. My mother was 20 when she had her first child. Her mother was 20 when she had her first child. Okay, so we keep going in that tradition. Now, if that's the case, then if it's 1940s and it's 60s, 80s, 2000, we're in the fourth generation since 1940. And if you look at that from the concept of Pottinger's cats, that means that we are in the fourth generation of pasteurized food, canned food, denatured food, preservatives. All right. And then you add the chemicals that we've been lathering onto our skin and paying high dollar for because it's this special hair care. Okay. Most die, and I can't say it enough because I almost killed myself, dying for beauty, literally. I wanted to keep up with the fashion trends. I thought it was natural dye. I was doing dark hair, and I was poisoning myself with PPDs. And those actually are hormone disruptors. Okay. They create a lot of autoimmune issues. And I see most women with MS, fibromyalgia, lupus, chronic sinus issues, eyes problems, sweeping, swelling, eczema, psoriasis, all those things come mostly from putting chemicals directly on their scalp that's also poisoning their brain, going into their blood system, creating massive tension in the neck and the traps and especially when I do Thai massage, I can feel it. The body is swollen. And what is swelling? It's inflammation. And so when you go into the concept of the healing, the cleansing, all right, you can reduce inflammation. Inflammation is predominantly caused from being in an acidic state. Well, what's interesting about our culture is the 5 primary foods that they push on the pyramid for nutrition are predominantly the 5 acid-forming foods, okay? That's sugar, of course, which is also in alcohol and obviously most simple carbohydrates, all the chips, all the cereal, all the sugars, okay? Even if it's not sweet, it converts to glucose very easily. That's why if it is not diabetic friendly, I don't really eat it, okay? Because then it's going to spike the blood sugar and create stress on the pancreas. There's really no reason to do that if I want to avoid that in my future, because my mother just passed 2 years ago from pancreatic cancer. Okay. So it is in my genetic lineage. Am I a victim of it? Absolutely no. Why? Because I will be responsible to take care of my body temple, to be a good steward of this house, meaning keep it clean. Right? And if you are in the concept of awareness and wanting to elevate and become more enlightened, more spiritual, more aware, more present, remove the corrosion from the battery cable, all right? Attune your physical body so that it's a sanctuary. It's somewhere you would want to invite your soul to take up residence in. It's like an unkept house if you suddenly have that. What if the Dalai Lama or like the president showed up at your front door and your home was completely trashed? It would be embarrassing. Okay. And that is something that I realized, in my own journey through natural health, because it took crisis. And I want to say that over and over again. If you're in a health crisis, bless it. Say thank you, because it is your own soul. It is your own physical body trying to get you back to wellness. And so with the Pottinger's cat study, the other fascinating part about it is after he noted that the cats were significantly suffering from massive genetic issues, he reversed their diet. He put them back onto raw milk, raw meat, okay? And he watched their wellness return. The primary significant issue is that it takes more time. And that's the hard part with natural health. It takes time, okay? And that's why I tell people, get your medical baselines, go to your doctor, okay? We need early diagnostics. My mother may be here had we had exercised that very big privilege that we have here in the United States to be able to get your blood work done. If you don't want to go see a medical doctor, go to a functional medicine provider or an integrative medicine provider. Get your baselines, okay? As a natural health care provider, I have to say, I'm not trying to play Sherlock Holmes with your health. Okay. Yes, there are mysteries to crack. Yes, you can go in and you can look at the blood, kind of like a witness to a crime. You can ask the urine, oh, what's going on? Okay, and that's how I look at it. I want to know what's the urine, the blood saying, and then I look at the eyes. Okay, and now the beauty of the eyes is the iris itself is your genetic thumbprint of information. It's not always symptomatic, but it's a reminder to keep you on your path. Okay, it's your blueprint. It's your user's manual. Okay. And when you can look in the eyes, it's the window to the soul. You can see if you're feeling well or not. And especially if you've been a mother with small children that don't speak, you can look in their eyes and you know instantly, oh my goodness, he's having a fever. This one's got a stomach ache. This one's really sad. You can see the emotions as well, right? And so what we focus on with iridology is digestive health predominantly. So here's another little chart. It's kind of, and we'll get better visuals for you next week. This chart is the kind of showing the large intestine here in association to the iris itself. So when we look at the iris, we see a couple of different areas. So you have the collarette is what we call it. So if you look at, there's the pupil itself. Then we have the area between the pupil and what we call as the collarette. The collarette is actually a reflection of the autonomic nerve wreath or nerve system. So it is directly affected by the spinal column and the dilation. So stress, cortisol, fight, flight, then you're going to have a response. And that's when your eyes will dilate or constrict. Okay, that's a nervous system response. And that is all governed here within the iris and in the pupil. Now, in this section between the pupil and what is called the collarette is predominantly the digestive system. And so that's what we really, really focus in on. And as we can see, even with Cottinger's cats, it was all about the food. They had the same environment, same care, same people with them. They weren't being abused, okay? But it was their food sources, okay? And so what we can see is that we can reverse genetic issues, all right? And that's what I want to urge people who want to have children or who are young parents with small children. You can fortify them so they do not have to suffer the ailments of your grandparents or even of yourself. All right. If you want to give your children the world, you want to give them the best education, you want to give them an inheritance, give them a genetic inheritance that they can walk with. Give them the nutritional education, teach them how to take care of their physical body as much as their toys and as much as their room. It is more important to take care of the physical body because with that, with your health, you have your wealth. You can walk through the world. You can make plans. You can do things. You can express the fruit of the spirit. You can live a life of purpose and of passion. But if you are distracted by pain, disease, suffering, you cannot. Let me tell you, I went through it. You know, I went through years of suffering, especially when I was 12. The food that I was eating, the experience I was having, the environment I was in, the stress, it all just weighed in. And I broke out in hives at 12 years old. I had them every single day until I turned 17. Okay. I was eating up to 6 Benadryl a day, trying to keep them away, crying everywhere I went. So distressed because I couldn't eat anything. No, what was I allergic to? The 5 mucus forming foods, the 5 acidic forming foods with sugar, dairy, even goat milk at that time I was highly allergic to, egg whites, red meat, which I was allergic to beef at that time, and to, what was the last one? Wheat. Okay. So mind you, this is 1990. I'm like 12 years old and I can't eat anything. And I was in a youth group and it was like pizza parties and ice cream socials. And that was a lot of stress on a young person trying to grow up and fit in and do the whole thing. So what was fascinating though, is that is what sent me to a naturopath, because after going to the doctors and getting put on prednisone and then blowing up like a balloon and then put on diuretics, then told it was stress, and there was still no relief. Okay. I went to my first doctor, Dr. Birdsall in Northern Idaho, who told me about Candida for the first time. When I realized that that was an issue, and I had to start reading my own labels. And so now I bless it. I'm so grateful for the pain and suffering that brought me to here so that I can help those who are in these conditions. Okay. And all of it, when I look back on it, was through being acidic. Okay. So we can switch it. We can flip it. We have the power to enlighten ourselves through our actions, words, and deeds, through our choices, through that which we put in our mouth, and that's what we speak. Okay. Because when we are in states of distress, we're not nice people. Why? It's like a little kid who's tired. They're throwing a temper tantrum. Okay. And in a lot of ways, we are like 3-year-olds. Okay. We don't realize it because we think we're all adults. But ultimately, if we're not feeling good, we're not acting right. And there's a lot of behavioral issues that'll come out of that, and mental health disturbances as well. So as far as I'm concerned, heal the digestive system and you heal your mind. You heal your physical body, you heal your relationships. Okay. And so what we realize is, how do we do this in a way that's with education and finesse? And so what I have realized is that when we focus on the cleansing, okay, getting that bowel moving every single day, okay? When I was a little girl, I went like maybe once every 2 weeks, okay? I thought it was dirty and gross and didn't want to do it, didn't want to talk about it, that's for sure, all right? Well, we kind of need to handle our SHIT, for better words, okay? We need to cleanse ourselves, all right? We need to make sure that we're walking around with a high level of integrity, because then our immune systems work better too, okay? But then the thing that we're really dealing with is malnutrition in our culture: fermentation, putrefaction, and malnutrition. Okay, so that's where I find Dr. Wallach, and especially with the longevity brand, especially when we're looking at Whole Foods being owned by Amazon, a lot of these companies are now being kind of infiltrated. Even Bragg's apple cider vinegar, I've heard, is being made with apples that have a chemical synthetic called appeal on the outside. So what are we getting now? Okay. We need to know, and we need to have quality control over what we're consuming. And that's why I trust Dr. Joel Wallach after his years of research and being a leading naturopath in this community. I trust the brands and the products that he's bringing in and his supplementation. And what I believe is we need nutraceutical supplementation. We need the essential 90, because we are so depleted after 3, 4 generations, sometimes 5 generations now that have been birthed off of frozen food, canned food. Okay. We need to make sure that we know exactly what we are consuming and giving our children an inheritance that we can believe in. Okay. And that's why I'm so grateful, because what I see with Dr. Wallach's company and longevity is you can actually do what they were doing with Pottinger's cats just by reversing the diet. That's all they did. They were like, okay, let's put them back on raw milk and raw meat. Well, what if we saturated our systems with good nutrition while we alkalized, while we removed the putrefaction and stopped fermentation, which is through exercising, proper food combining, and enzymes. So last week, if you got the chance to see us, we were talking all about enzymes, eating them 30 minutes before you eat to prepare your stomach. It doesn't have teeth, y'all. You got to chew your food properly or blend it if you really want to uptake the nutrition. The enzymes are there to treat it so that it can become available for the villi in the small intestine to absorb into your bloodstream. Okay, otherwise it's just passing through. It's fillers, and it's most likely going to be leaving residues. And for those of you who may be suffering from weight gain, difficult pain issues, okay, organ swelling, all of that is inflammation. Get yourself alkalized, okay? Acidosis is when too much uric acid is in your food. It goes into your blood. Your liver has to be the referee and keep it out of your blood, because if your blood goes too acidic, you go into a heart attack, okay? So your blood is your referee. It is the goalkeeper. It is getting punched pretty heavily if you're consuming acid-forming foods that are low in quality, microwaved, preservatives. If you add all the food dyes, I mean, we are basically eating cardboard in a lot of situations nowadays, or sugar water, right? Which is petrifying inside of us and making it so there's like a shellac so that our villi can't even absorb what's there. And that's why I say you gotta cleanse while you saturate yourself with nutrition, okay? You want to get the nutrition, you got to clear the villi, you got to clear the digestive system, you got to get it out of your organs. And those metabolic uric acid crystals will settle in your joints, your tissues, your organs, and even in the blood. I've seen them in microscopy. And those little crystals have jagged edges. And wherever there's a jagged edge, your body's going to pump out a mucus. And that's where you know there's a biofeedback going on. If you're getting mucus, you're going acidic. Okay, so alkalize, and I can't say it enough. Dr. Wallach, he has the apple cider vinegar gummies that are in gummy bears, and they are actually really wonderful because they're not going to ruin your tooth enamel, but it's also really great for the elderly and for the young people. We got to start this early, y'all. Like for me, even as a mom, like I did it. I made all the mistakes, so I am no saint. I have been there, okay? My son, when he wanted to start playing video games, I bought him Doritos and I got him the ramen because I wanted him to be cool with his friends, okay? We're reversing this. We're supposed to be treating our children with the wellness, practicing it, teaching them it, so that they will exercise it, raise them up in the way they shall go when they are children, when they are the youth. And when they grow up, they will not depart from it. And I do have to say, he did eat a lot of vegetables, and he's actually really into good, healthy food now. So thankfully, the seeds were planted there. But a lot of his friends, they're still drinking Red Bulls, and they're showing signs of aging early. That's the other thing. I'm turning 45 this summer, and I feel younger than ever because of natural health. Okay. And there was a time that my aging was getting more intense, and I had to make the choice to do the cleansing because I was doing the good stuff. I just kept adding the good supplements in, and I was trying to do the shortcut. I just buy the expensive product and I'll take the pills and I'll do those things like the acupuncture, but I wasn't getting the waste out. Okay. And that's where you're going to catalyze every effort you do. If you're paying for these beautiful supplements, if you're paying for good food, you need to get the waste out so you can really assimilate it and take advantage of it. So that's what I have to say. And I know we have a few minutes to look at your eyes, Becca.
Well, before we do that, yes, we're going to look at my eyes, folks. You had mentioned microwave. Now,
Yes.
as I was reading through this study with the Pottinger's cats and going difference between, raw food and cooked food, and I'm going back into my childhood because I was on a farm. We milked the cow. Yes, I was up at 4 a.m. and I could drink that milk with no problem. But anything from the store? No. But another thing we did is we did a lot of our own butchering. So we always had meat in the freezer and eating that hasn't been processed or commercial fed. So I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah.
One thing when you had mentioned microwave, okay, the cats that had the raw diet had better health than those with the cooked diet. Now, they weren't microwave cooking. They were probably stovetop or oven cooking. What effect does microwave have on food? You briefly touched on it. Can you go just a little deeper into that?
Oh, I would love to. So what I understand with microwaves, it actually changes the cell structure of the food. It makes it almost the equivalent to a plastic in the structure of it. And so really it becomes that filler. If you notice, obviously you can't put metal into the microwave, right? Because we're going to have an explosion essentially. Well, think about minerals. Minerals and iron, all of those are also metallic by nature. They conduct electricity through the body. So it's destroying all of those essential minerals, all of that nutrition. Sure, you might get calories, but the nutrition is gone. And that's where we're dealing with this malnutrition issues in our country.
And another thing, the fats. Dr. Wallach says no fried foods, but those microwaves, they're heating up those fats and that sugar within the food really fast.
Really fast and totally transforming it. So then the sugar, if you look at sugar, it's going to turn into a hard candy, essentially. You know, it's no longer soft. You know, sugarcane juice straight out of the sugarcane has a lot of minerals and nutrition in it. You denature it, you bleach it, and now you're going to heat it. It turns into, like I say, it's like a varnish in a way. And then the oils, I can't talk enough about rancid oil. Rancid oil is one of the largest problems for our country because not only is it affecting liver health, but I see it affecting skin health. Those rancid oils get stuck in the lipid layer of the epidermis. And then when you go in the sun, they get heated. And that is actually what a lot of studies are looking at for skin cancer, is because of a high amount of rancid oil in the epidermis that's getting heated by the sun and creating the oxidants and then creating cancer cells. And then you add, you know, chemicals on top of that to try to prevent the burn. And now you've actually doubled up on, some studies have said, on the cancer causing problems because of the rancid oils.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. There's so much more to dig into, folks. We are only 10 minutes from the end of the show. So let's take a look at one of the things that you absolutely love to do, and that's looking at people's eyes.
Yay,
So
it's my favorite. So this is wonderful to show. Yeah, this is Becca sent in the eye photos. So I wanted to encourage all of you viewers, if you are interested, you can contact me for your own iridology analysis. You can send me a photograph from your smartphone or have a friend take a photograph for you of your eyes. I can give you information on how to do that step by step, and then we can do your eye analysis and give you your genetic blueprint.
Yeah, I'm pulling those back up again. I had them up, but they disappeared on me.
No worries. So just a quick recap on the iris itself, it's a genetic map. And so the iris is your thumbprint of genetic information. Now the whites of the eyes, called sclerology, shows more of your current inflammation. So when you see big red veins, and I'm not talking tired, just red eyes from the end of the day, I'm talking like that one that just doesn't go away. It probably has something to tell you, okay, about what's going on with your health. And when you look at the holistic health, nothing stands by itself. There's no specialists in holistic wellness. You are a whole being. So every single part of you feeds the other part of you. So we want to look at that.
All right, let's see if it is going to share for us here.
Awesome.
Not that. Nope.
How
There.
wonderful. There
You see
we
it now?
go. I can see them. Absolutely stunning. And so what I'm seeing here, and we just want to always, as an iridologist, always, and I want to say thank you, Becca, for volunteering to bring your eyes to the camera and to our community. And this is really the windows to the soul. It's a sacred space. And we always want to honor and respect that this is a reflection of our creation, how we were formed and knit. Okay. Now what I see here is a blue eye, and a blue eye predominantly we call is a lymphatic iris. So the blue eyes tend to be governed by the lymphatic system. So the lymphatic system often indicates sometimes endocrine issues, skin issues, kidneys sometimes can be also in there. And sometimes we see pancreatic disturbances, autoimmune issues, allergies tend to plague lymphatic irises when they're not living or caring for themselves, mostly because they crave acid-forming foods. I'm a blue-eyed girl. I love the cheese and the dairy, and that is one of the hardest things for lymphatics to digest, especially if it's been pasteurized, okay? And if you are going to consume dairy, you want to make sure that it is good, organic. Cheddar cheeses are actually pretty good. The harder the cheese, the better the quality for ease of digestion. And food combining is always helpful. Now, the other thing I see here is how strong you are, Becca. Your family, your whole inheritance is incredibly resilient. You're hard workers. You're the kind of people who are very organized, good at planning, good at leadership. You kind of have this really strong sense of knowing, and you can't always explain it. And that's reflected not only in your physical health, but as you can see, iridology shows a lot about your emotional and your personality traits that you inherit also from your genetic heritage. Now, the other thing I see is, yes, there does appear to be a little bit of yellow that's in there. And sometimes we see a yellow pigment that's indicating that there has been inherited genetics for kidney disruption. So supporting the kidneys is really important. Making sure you drink, of course, a lot of good water, alkaline water, but really getting that tangy tangerine, getting that electrolyte boost in there is really important for keeping the cells hydrated. Now, the other thing I see is that you're a very balanced personality in general. You have a tendency, you really need your me time. You need downtime, because you are so involved with planning and procedures, it can be a little overwhelming. And so it's important for you to take that downtime. And that's also part of your digestion. You actually don't crave large meals. You kind of eat smaller meals throughout the day. And that's more of a balance for you. Less is more for you. And sometimes you probably, I imagine, don't even really care about what time of day you eat. It's more like when you're hungry versus like a strict regimen. It looks to me, though, that your digestion, which you can see in your collarette, is very balanced. I don't see a lot of signs of bowel disturbances or issues. I do see that maybe there's a little low hydrochloric acid sometimes and enzymes. And so making sure to take those enzymes with your meals, focusing on food combining is really helpful. Lastly, I do see that there's a little bit of a white tone. And when we see that with blue eyes, that can be a shading. It just shows that there's more activity and a tendency to go acidic. So for you, that alkalizing is really important with the lymphatics, mostly because we have up to 42 pints of lymphatic fluid, and that needs to be alkaline. So we really need to focus on that for the lymphatics. Now, I also see the darker ring that's on the exterior of the iris. That's called a scurf rim. That can indicate that your body sometimes has skin issues where it feels a little dry, flaky. Usually if we have skin issues, it's a direct reflection of our kidney health, or can also show that we're a little low on iron. So making sure to get your iron in is really important, and doing skincare. And I find, well, the skin is considered the third kidney. So if you have skin issues, drink more water, do more electrolytes, more alkalizing, support the kidneys, and do hydrotherapy. And that's why I'm so excited about the longevity catalog that I just received with all of the beauty and self-care products. Because I know, Becca, you're a picture of health. Not using any chemicals on your skin, please. Within 26 seconds, anything you put on your skin is in your bloodstream, okay? And so the other thing I did want to say is your whites of your eyes are really clear. And usually that is an indicator of inflammation. The one vein I see is in the right or the left eye. There's a little one there in the medial, but mostly that one that you're pointing to there. So in that, and that is in the pancreatic reaction field. So being mindful of sugar intake, and reminding ourselves sometimes if we crave sugar, just as a common thing, we're actually really needing more sweetness in life, more calm, more me time, more love. And also the scurf rim, that dark ring on the exterior, we also call it a ring of purpose. So you were born with a very strong sense of purpose. And I imagine when you were younger, you may have actually experienced a sense of feeling a little lost. Because if you don't know what that purpose is, it feels like you're late for something, but you don't know where it is. So it's a beautiful thing that you are fulfilling your life in the way that you are, because you're using your strength as a mediator, as a planner, as an organizer to fulfill a greater purpose than even your own passion, because this is something that's bringing love and healing to the world. But that's a quick little synopsis of the iris.
Wow. That's crazy. So, so some of the things that you had mentioned, could they be kind of like a carryover? Because I had extreme metabolic syndrome.
Yeah.
With having blood sugar issues. I had digestive issues. They actually cleared up pretty quickly, which I was very thankful. But you know, there's a couple patches of skin. It's like, man, if I could just, you know, find something to itch with, you know, just like maybe this big on my back. So that's very interesting that you had mentioned that as well. And then, you know, yes, I want to be organized. Am I as organized as I want to be? I'm not in control of everybody else's life.
No, you're not. Surrender.
I have to surrender in more of that self-love.
Yeah.
I receive that is definitely something that's needed. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
For going over that with us and sharing. You know, it goes more into just health, but also personality and so many different things that the eyes tell us.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely incredible.
It's amazing.
Well, folks, it is very amazing. Folks, thank you for watching Daily with Doc and Becca with Dr. Cara Ringland. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You as well. And everybody, don't forget to share this program with somebody. There's so much to be, you know, so many nuggets. Oh my goodness. And if you're using a microwave, I threw my microwave away 7 years ago.
Yep.
7 years ago. And I've been in households where microwaves were used, and I tried to leave the room.
Same.
I just couldn't. I was like, oh, what you're doing to your food. It's tough, but people don't know. It's all about convenience. And with the busy world, convenience and making things quick has taken, you know, front seat to what's actually healthy and most important, folks. So take the time to care for yourself, take the time to prepare your own food, and take the time to just love yourself, because you're worth it. Now, Dr. Cara, as you were going through, I could think of some of the longevity products that would be just ideal at helping people address and support the different systems that you were talking about. Digestive, got the healthy body digestion pack. I prefer the 2.5 with those methylated vitamins in there. And then also the Sweeties. Sweeties helps to support blood sugar, which then you add in the Good Herbs pancreas support, which is something that I'm going to be more diligent about in getting that pancreas supported, plus the blood sugar, the nutrients needed to support the metabolism, assimilation of blood sugar, so they're not settling into cells. And most of all, your diet, folks. We don't have perfect diets. Digestive enzymes, they help a lot, but they don't take the place, and they cannot out supplement a lousy diet. So get with the person that referred this program to you. Let them know what it is that you have challenges with. Chances are they are a health coach or an advocate for health associated with Longevity, the company that Dr. Wallach founded over 27 years ago. He no longer is part of the running of the company. He has turned that over to his oldest son and his wife so that he can, with a clean heart, say, okay, based on my research, this is what's going on. And this is the company that has the products that I trust in helping you to come out of that nutritional deficiencies that are causing poor health conditions. If there's no one to thank, feel free to give our team a call at 855-949-3377. That's the Daily with Doc team. And if I could get my co-hosts who are part of the Daily with Doc team, not in the entire part, but they are a good part of us that helps support this program and support the mission to empower individuals where they're at, to make U-turns if a new U-turn is needed, and to support and maintain good health in a way that allows you to be able to enjoy life longer. I just want to say thank you, Dr. Cara. You're amazing. We appreciate you being part of our team. We have Rod, who is helping to let people into the room. Thank you, Rod, who actually is the one who helped us find Dr. Cara and bring her into family. We have Albert, who is joining us from South Africa, helping to let people in as well, keeping an eye on the different things that we have, so that people can have a pleasant stay with us here on Daily with Doc. We have Ruth Allen, who is my executive production manager, helping to keep everything organized. And we have AJ, who is helping to make sure and monitor things are streaming properly. And as we have questions, he helps bring in questions from the different platforms as well. I could not do this without these people. So my heart is full of gratitude for them and those that weren't able to be with us, and for those of you who share this program. My heart is that not just my family, not just me, not just the people that you see on the screen with me have good health, but people around the world have the opportunity to have a better health journey. My name is Becca Dukes. If you'd like to be part of this family and you're not working with somebody already, make sure that you do reach out and give us a call. If you can't reach us by phone, which is 855-949-3377, which is good for Northern Hemisphere, or North America rather, you can reach us through email at info@dailywithdoc.com. That's info@dailywithdoc.com. So until next time, thank you everybody for being here with us. Make it a fabulous, safe day, and be aware of what you're putting into your mouth and on your skin and in your environment, and how that might be contributing to where you are in health. Until next time, bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you.
This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences, and the individual results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach.